Hey guys, it's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe, and I wanted to talk about a movie that I've now watched twice. I have a bad memory, so I had sort of forgotten what it was about fully. Blue Vengeance from 1989. There's a Vinegar Syndrome release currently, which this video is going to be queued up, so it won't really matter. There's a copy of it on eBay for a cheap price, and I was looking at it, I was like, I don't really remember this movie. So I went and watched it again on Tubi. It's also in full from FilmRise, I believe, on YouTube. And there's a Blu-ray from Vinegar Syndrome, as I had stated. So I checked out Blue Vengeance again, and it starts out with a mental patient who had murdered people, put in he's in a mental institution, obviously, and he escapes. And now he's back on the streets, and the cop that I guess caught him the first time feels that he's out and knows that these killings are him. And they find a dead body at one point and they think it's him and that he's done. But the cop knows in his, heart of hearts that this guy is still alive. So it's kind of an interesting movie, but it plays it a little too serious. There's these weird fast like fantasy dream things that happen with the bad guy who ends up imagining himself in like barbarian armor, sort of like Conan, and he's fighting knights, and he's also into some sort of satanic or like evil witchcraft type stuff. So when he goes after all these people in the film that he's killing, he recites heavy metal lyrics to them that they wrote, thinking that they were, more evil than they are, or maybe they inspired him a lot. And now when he goes to see them, they're not who they think they're not who he thinks they are. They're not these crazy Satanists or evil people. They're just normal 9 to 5 people that maybe 15 years ago or 10 years ago wrote metal music, and he's reciting the song to them, and they're like, oh, that's cool. You remember my band back from high school? And then he like flips out and kills them now that he's out of the mental institution. So it's like sort of quirky and funny in regards to these dreams he's having, wearing like loincloths and fighting knights, and then that he's like thinking all these metalheads were Satan worshippers and that they spoke to him with their music. So it's like sort of funny, but it's not comical enough to where I find it really funny. And throughout the film, the cop who has this horrible, or I guess a strange relationship with his wife is now trying to go after this guy, and he's getting wrapped up in it, and then he gets thrown off the force or suspended or whatever because they think that he did things that he didn't do. And so it sort of becomes almost like a crime thriller film, really more than a horror movie, and they play it a little more serious than I would like. So I think that's my main problem with the film. It's a 1989 movie. It takes place in New York City primarily, and it's cool to see the city and, or I guess what's supposed to be the city. I think it is Manhattan, but they could have tricked me, who knows. And the main character is very, very wiry and thin, so he doesn't look really intimidating, but he definitely plays a good nut job. So that was kind of cool. And he goes after all these people, and he steals someone's car and stabs them, and then burns the car or like trashes it or whatever. So there's some like interesting points, but the main crux of the story is him killing people and the cop who was after him years ago, who also got in trouble years ago because he had killed someone. I think it was by mistake during a shootout, if I remember correctly. So he killed, I think, his partner, like an old partner or an old cop. So they're all saying to him, like, you should just be doing your job and retiring. Why are you focusing on all this like crazy stuff, trying to capture this guy? Just ride this out and retire. Like, you're lucky you have a job still. So there's kind of little bits and pieces happening with that. It was an okay film. It's not horror enough. It's more like cop chase thriller thing, but it's also not extremely serious, but not funny. So it sort of rides this weird line of doesn't know what it wants to be or how it feels. The vibe of the movie is strange, but not really fun strange. Secondarily, since it takes place in the late 80s, a lot of references to music. They play in like they go in a lot of bars and clubs and stuff, and all the music is so bad. I love all types of music: rap, rock, goth, death metal, thrash metal, speed metal. I like all of it. It is so bad and amateur sounding, some of this music. I guess it's supposed to sound raw, but it's just poor sounding. So overall, I thought Blue Vengeance was okay. It's definitely a lower echelon for me, especially in regards to some of the more fun Vinegar Syndrome movies that they put out. But if you like kind of this weird, I guess, offbeat character, I think the actor's name is, I want to say it's John Wiener, and you want to see him sort of flipping out, screaming, and like going after people, it's sort of interesting, but nothing I'd really put on my list to watch again. So let me know, guys, if you've seen Blue Vengeance, what you thought. Maybe you feel the same way, or maybe you really enjoyed it. Some people feel it's kind of like a hidden gem. It's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. Be good.